Alright, and back with a quick severe weather update looking at the Northeast for the potential for some significant severe weather this afternoon. We'll dive into that real quickly, looking at a couple strong rounds of some thunderstorms likely across the upper Northeast through early tomorrow morning. And then looking at all threats being likely, including damaging winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, some tornadoes possible as well, and some baseball-sized hail too, and looking at some scattered flooding possible with both rounds of storms. Looking at a lot going on as we head throughout this evening into tonight and into tomorrow morning. You can see that outlook again, that severe weather outlook showing that severe weather threat, especially for the Northeast. This is our main focus for, again, this video. Looking at all three threats, looking at a heightened threat for tornadoes, especially over, looks like northwestern parts of Maine, and then that other 5% risk is stretching out towards New York and even to parts of southeastern Maine, and then that 2% risk for tornadoes down to parts of more into centralized parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and encompassing the rest of Maine as well. And then that damaging wind threat looking quite significant across much of the Northeast, especially again over Maine and northern parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and extreme northern parts of New York. And then that hail threat, same exact thing, a little more significant in those areas as well. So watching that very closely as we progress throughout the afternoon. And speaking of this afternoon, the upper level jet, known as the winds in the higher atmosphere, will be increasing, meaning strong winds aloft, increasing that potential for severe weather as we head throughout the course of your day. So the reason for that damaging wind threat is mainly because of this. And this will also help to enhance spin for those tornadoes to also take place as well later on today. But temperatures this afternoon will be relatively in the 70s to 80s for this region. Temperatures in the 90s further down to the south, but these areas will likely be highly capped, meaning that storms will not reach this area as we progress throughout the afternoon, as the high pressure will be keeping these areas dry. But for these areas where high pressure is not in effect, unfortunately, they'll be facing that threat for severe weather. But looking at, again, the Northeast, temperatures in terms of dew points will be reaching the 70s, which is oppressive levels of humidity. So if you are in these areas or traveling to these areas, you might want to be high on alert for, again, those humidity levels, as they'll be quite high during that time. And what to look for with these rounds of storms, first line will be kind of messy as it does move through between now and this evening. This second one will be much stronger, bringing heavier storms and then the best chance for that damaging wind, tornado, and hail threat, as that second line of storms will be packing a punch. As with the atmosphere recovering after that first round of storms, that second round of storms will likely be stronger due to that occurring. Now looking at the futurecast, this is this afternoon. You can see that first round of storms moving through, not too significant, just looking at some heavy downpours, a little bit of a damaging wind threat, maybe some isolated instances of hail throughout that first round of storms. But it's the second round that we watch very closely, as it will develop this evening in southeastern Canada. It will move into Maine eventually, and then impact the extreme northern parts of New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire eventually as we head into the overnight hours. So again, higher threat for damaging winds, large hail, and especially strong tornadoes, especially as we head towards later on this evening and into tomorrow morning, especially if you're in this area over here. And even in this area over here, I'll be on high alert as well, as strong tornadoes can still occur in those areas. But looking in terms of rainfall totals for what to expect, up to about 2 inches of rainfall possible, especially in our bullseye area for severe weather this evening. Up to about 2 inches of rainfall, maybe even a couple more in Canada, but overall quite a wet next 24 hours. But that's pretty much it for this quick update. Make sure you have a way of getting alerts and notifications with the severe weather this evening, especially if you're in this highlighted area over here. Again, with that severe weather threat, make sure you have a way of getting alerts, have an action plan in case the power goes out, and stay safe tonight. And we'll be back with more in case anything does get worse.